Ignition running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Nah, I think we got this wrong, don't you all? Yeah, I think we got to go this way. Yes! Welcome. It is May the 4th, Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. It's Eric Erickson here, News 95.5, AM 750, WSB. The phone number 404-8720750, 1-800-WSB Talk. Go watch Star Wars Day. Not the prequel that I pretend doesn't exist, just the original ones. They're good. We can get into The Last Jedi later. What a terrible movie that actually was upon consideration. But we've got news. The judge in Virginia, a U.S. federal judge who is dealing with the Manafort case, T.S. Ellis, not T.S. Eliot, T.S. Ellis III in the Eastern District of Virginia, lost it on the Mueller investigators today. I don't see what relationship this indictment has with anything the special counsel is authorized to investigate, he says, pointing out that they're ultimately going after bank fraud in 2005 and 2007. Tell me how it's related. The judge asks of the Solicitor General, who is taking a break from being Solicitor General, to help with the Mueller investigation. Here's the thing you need to understand, and people are reading this wrong. This has nothing to do with getting Paul Manafort's case dismissed. That is a very important point to make. This doesn't have to do with getting the charges against Paul Manafort dropped, but it has everything to do with whether or not the Mueller investigation can prosecute him. What I mean by that is, and the judge raised this today, a lot of people are confusing it, is the FBI investigation that is after Paul Manafort, and I don't know that we've had this confirmed before now, but the investigation of Paul Manafort that brought these charges originated in 2014, before Donald Trump was even a candidate for office, which again makes it seem very, very clear that there is no relation to the president here. I said that last night. You can't prove collusion. There is no case of collusion. The judge pointed that out. The investigation began in 2014. Mueller's investigation was not appointed until May of 2017. And so that's the judge's position, is how can the Mueller investigators bring charges against Paul Manafort when the investigation against Paul Manafort started before then and related to events in 2005 and 2007? He doesn't see that they have the power to do it. And he's very concerned that the Mueller investigators are just dragging this out in every direction, a runaway prosecutor, so to speak. Now, what he pointed out, and a lot of people missed today, is that the judge raised the issue of Michael Cohen. The charges against Michael Cohen have been passed to the Southern District of New York. They're not part of the special prosecutor. That is part of a big red flag that the charges against Michael Cohen actually don't have anything to do with the president's election. People haven't paid attention to that part either, unfortunately. They've been running around with their crazy conspiracy theories that somehow this was going to get the president in all sorts of trouble, and that's not true. So what the judge said is that you guys don't have the power to prosecute him for this because all of this stuff came up before you were even formed. You need to pass this off to the U.S. attorney in the Eastern District of Virginia. And the Mueller investigators say that they do have the power to do it, but they can't tell the judge what that power is. And he literally laughed in their face. The judge literally laughed in the face of the Mueller prosecutor today, who argued that they have the power, but they can't tell the judge. And the judge, after finishing laughing, says, "I'll be the judge of that." That's what's happening in the Mueller investigation today. Not a good day for them in court. And again, I think it's very important to point out that the judge is not suggesting that Paul Manafort's case be thrown out. He's suggesting that the Mueller investigators don't have the authority to pursue it, that they will need to pass off their findings to a different U.S. to an actual U.S. attorney. And he did make a position that it seems like if this is, a lot of people are misreading the judge. I did go back and look at the transcript or what was released by the media as a transcript. No official transcript has been released yet. That yes, the Mueller investigation is related to information on the Russian collusion designed to get information to potentially impeach the president or prosecute those around him for stealing the election. And a lot of people read that as bashing the Mueller investigators, saying, no, you're just engaged in a witch hunt. In fact, the president today, speaking to the NRA, made that point, that the judge agreed with him that this was a witch hunt. That is not my reading of what the judge said. That's how it was reported by a number of outlets today. But my reading of it was that the judge was telling the Mueller investigators that their role was to delve into accusations against the president and whether or not the president or his campaign team colluded with Russians to steal the election or obstructed justice in that investigation. And that the Manafort charges go back to bank fraud from 2005 and 2007, and therefore the Mueller investigators do not have it within their portfolio of things to investigate. Now, there is an interesting angle from the Mueller investigators, and that is that they're saying they have a national security portfolio. That Rod Rosenstein, when he charged them and set up the appointment of Mueller, gave them investigative power to deal with national security concerns. And they're hinting at, they did not say it in open court. In fact, they made clear that they couldn't confirm certain things in open court, that they're going after Paul Manafort under that in their investigation, the bank fraud stuff that goes back to 2005, 2007, is information related to national security that is relevant to their investigation. Now, I'm with the judge on this. I have a hard time seeing that that's the case. The judge wants them to reveal their entire mandate from the Justice Department, and they really don't have the discretion to tell the judge no on this. Now, the judge cannot reveal it publicly, but the judge can look at it behind the scenes in private and see whether or not they actually do have the authority. And it'll be redacted in anything, and potentially even the defense can't see everything that the judge sees in that regard when he's making this determination. But the judge, he's got a really good point today. And the point is that the Mueller investigation began in May of 2017. Most of the Manafort stuff relates back to 2005, and that investigation began in 2014. And there's a big issue here that's staring everyone in the face. Paul Manafort was under investigation before he even began helping the President of the United States for his own conduct relating to his own businesses. It had nothing to do with Donald Trump. Yet again, all of the conspiracy theories about Paul Manafort going to work for the president, to work with the Russians to steal the election, doesn't appear to be panning out. But that also then raises the issue of, why is Mueller being the prosecutor here? Maybe there should be a U.S. attorney who looks at it. Y'all, 3.9% unemployment. That's pretty good. I ran out the clock the other day, and I meant to say this. Have you seen the polling on millennials that they're really down on the Democratic Party right now? The Democrats still have a generic ballot advantage, and I do think the Democrats are going to take back the House. And the reason I say that is because the Pennsylvania redistricting in California, they only need about 20-some seats, and the shakeup of the Pennsylvania districts in California, that's going to get them the seats they need to take back the House by and large. But I'm beginning to believe we're not going to have the massive wave. And the reason I say that has everything to do with the Democrats' increasing radicalism on guns and social issues, the vilification of the other, and the way they're targeting people on guns right now. We got 320 million people in this country, and we've got about 320 million guns in this country. Now, not everybody is a gun owner, but a great many people in this country own guns, and those who don't know people who are, and it's really hard to vilify them, and yet the Democrats are. It's turning off more and more voters. So I don't think the wave is going to be as massive as some people say. When we come back, the Stacey Evans ad, new attack ad out against Stacey Abrams, and wow, there is a punch being thrown. It is 38 after the hour. The phone number is 404-872-0750, 1-800-WSB Talk. We got to get into some local politics because, oh my goodness gracious, have I got an ad for you guys to listen to. Wow. So Stacey Evans has an ad up going after Stacey Abrams. Now, you should know the polling shows that Abrams is ahead of Evans, that 38% of black voters are backing Abrams, while Evans only has 10%. The rest, like most Democrats, are undecided. But you need to go back to this past summer when Nutroots Nation came to Atlanta. Nutroots Nation is the left wing. It's really Netroots, but I call it Nutroots. It's the group of online left-wing activists. They come to Atlanta, and Stacey Evans spoke. And people affiliated with Stacey Abrams' campaign, and they were people connected to Abrams' campaign, though she says, and I believe her, she had nothing to do with it, but there were her supporters and some activists related to her campaign organized a protest while Stacey Evans was speaking, protesting her for being white. I wish I could say I was distorting this, but I'm not. It was a protest against a member of the Georgia legislature who is running for governor, Stacey Evans, for the sole reason that she is white. Elizabeth Warren had to come on stage and shut up the crowd. And they wouldn't let Stacey Evans speak because she was white. And there is a level of bad blood, I think, in this campaign to begin with. Stacey Abrams believes Stacey Evans blindsided her, betrayed her and the Democratic Party caucus in the House on Hope, and that Evans is making an opportunistic play to run on the Hope Scholarship. I don't think it's opportunistic. Stacey Evans has been doing a good job in her advertising, building her bio. She attributes the Hope Scholarship to her ability to get out of poverty. And Stacey Abrams voted with Republicans to cut some opportunities for Hope. So Evans, I know it's hard saying is Stacey, but it's Evans versus Abrams. Abrams, the former House Minority Leader who is black, Stacey Evans, member of the State House who is white. They are the two candidates for the Democratic primary. And Evans has made the Hope Scholarship her campaign. So this is her ad, and it's interesting. She uses a young black lady to make the case against Abrams.
I'm a high school senior who's registered to vote. I'm going to college next year, but a lot of my classmates aren't. I just learned Stacey Abrams cut a deal with Republicans. She stood there with them after eliminating nearly 60,000 Hope scholarships and grants. 97% of African American high school graduates lost access to full scholarships. Ms. Abrams, Georgia students need hope.
I'm Stacey Evans, and as governor, I'll fully restore Hope scholarships for all our kids.
That's it. That's the ad. It's not a hard ad. It's not like, for example, the Clay Tippins ad is a real punch at Hunter Hill and Casey Cagle. He's got impersonators for them. Calls Hunter Hill, who is a veteran from the Iraq and Afghanistan wars, of Benedict Arnold, goes after Casey Cagle, who's wearing a powder blue tux. That's a real hit. This one is it's soft but really firm. You have a young lady who is not Stacey Evans making the case that a lot of her friends lost their Hope scholarships. because of the vote that Stacey Abrams took, and has the photo of Stacey Abrams standing behind Governor Deal on that reform. And I'm very interested to see how much money Stacey Evans can put towards this. You've got to remember that Stacey Abrams does not have a ton of money in the bank. She spent it all laying a grassroots foundation, and some outside groups have come in to help her, but Stacey Evans has been able to raise a significant chunk of change to get her name ID up, and her entire message is she got out of poverty because of the Hope Scholarship, and Republicans are making it harder for people, and Stacey Abrams is making it harder for people to get out of poverty by denying them the Hope Scholarship opportunity. And for a lot of Georgians, I think that's a compelling message. It comes up a lot, even on this radio show. Those of you who are longtime listeners know we get calls on that issue. Thank you, sir. I'm actually interested to see if Stacey Evans can turn the polling around in this race. And the reason I say that, I do believe, I have interviewed all the candidates. I got to say this, and don't read this the wrong way. I'm impressed with both of the Democrats as well. I was deeply impressed with Stacey Abrams' interview. She got the issues, and she explained things. She and Casey Cagle actually share the same position on taxes, that we don't need to abandon the income tax and go all sales tax. And I thought she actually talked about it in a less wonky, more understandable way. That essentially what she said is that during the economic downturn, states that had abandoned the income tax for the sales tax were in a bind with their budgets. But states like Georgia, though also in a bind, were in less of a bind, because even if you can't spend as much during a recession, the odds are you still have a job, so you still got income that you're paying taxes on. And it was a very reasonable statement, whether any of us agree or not with her. She knew the issues and had easily understandable ways to explain it. But I think because Stacey Abrams has so many ties to vast left-wing groups, including that group that met in Atlanta that wants slave reparations, she was not in the room, is not on record favoring that, but that group does, and it's supporting her. I think it's easier for Republicans to make her into a left-wing radical than it would be Stacey Evans. And I think Stacey Evans gives the GOP a run for its money in a year where a lot of people think Democrats are going to do well because of her positioning on Hope Scholarship and whatnot. I don't think that either of them can beat a Republican in Georgia. I don't think that will happen, but it would make for a very interesting race to see. That said, I've only got a little bit more tonight, and I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about state politics. When we come back, I want to talk about Amazon, and the president was at the NRA today in Dallas, making reporters angry. Let me have a brief timeout for this week's sponsor, and that would be Quip, which is a fantastic toothbrush. I love my Quip toothbrush. I've been using it for a while. The truth is most of us are probably brushing our teeth wrong anyway, not long enough. We forget to change our brush. I know for the longest time I went without changing my brush, and I didn't realize it actually sharpens. When you brush your teeth, it actually sharpens the bristles, and in the process of sharpening the bristles, you can do gum damage. You can wear off the enamel in your teeth, so you want to actually change your brush heads, and Quip does that. It's an electric toothbrush that's a fraction of the cost of the bulkier brushes. You can barely fit in the back of your mouth, and it packs just the right amount of vibration to help clean your teeth. It's got a built-in timer that helps you clean for the dentist-recommended 2 minutes while guiding pulses that remind you when to switch sides. I really like it, and it has a great subscription plan. They deliver new brush heads on a dentist-recommended schedule every 3 months for just $5, including free shipping worldwide. I actually just got new brush heads last week, I think, for my toothbrush. So Quip starts at just $25, and if you go to getquip.com/Eric, E-R-I-C-K, right now, you'll get your first refill pack free with a Quip electric toothbrush. So you get your first refill pack free by going to getquip.com/Eric. That's G-E-T-Q-I, am I doing this right? G-E-T-Q-U-I-P. Let's try that again, shall we? Getquip.com/Eric. getquip.com/ERICK. That's getquip.com. Folks, listen, I have been using this toothbrush now for a while. I did just get my brush heads. It is great. And really the coolest thing, they don't really sell this themselves, and I'm telling you, you don't have to travel with a recharger. Every electric toothbrush I've ever had, you had to travel with the recharger, or it was really bulky because of the batteries. This one, they have streamlined it. It's one AAA battery. It has lasted me 3 months and still has charge in it. But yet when they sent me the new brush head, they sent a new battery with it too. So a great product. Highly recommend it. GetQuip.com/Eric. If I could direct your attention to the Weekly Standard, weeklystandard.com, my friend Mark Hemingway has written a fantastic profile of the Babylon Bee, and if you've never read the Babylon Bee, you really should. I find it hilarious that Snopes.com has fact-checked the Babylon Bee, which is a faith-based humor site like The Onion, basically The Onion for Christians. One of their headline stories that always makes me laugh is Holy Spirit unable to move through congregation because fog machine breaks. And, of course, Joel Osteen. Joel Osteen apologizes for using Lord's name in sermon, which was followed by a story headlining Joel Osteen launches line of pastoral wear, calls it sheep's clothing. I like the Babylon Bee. It is a good site. The phone number, 404-872-0750, 1-800-WSB-TALK. If you missed the show, you can text the word show to 444-999 to get the podcast and the daily email. Y'all, we got a ton when we come back. The president spoke to the NRA today. A couple of Dallas restaurants and people, they protested. One Dallas restaurant printed on receipts that they were donating a portion of their sales to anti-gun groups. And you've got Dick's Sporting Goods. They've hired anti-gun lobbyists to try to get gun control. Springfield Armory cutting them. Gotta be careful how I say that. Springfield Armory is cutting off Dick's Sporting Goods. How about, I guess I can say it that way without causing anyone some awkwardness. Very interesting what Dick's is trying to do. That is, now that they are not selling guns, they're trying to get lobbyists out there to lobby to make it harder for other groups to sell guns. Think about that for a minute. That's the way things have developed in our modern political discourse now. They're hiring lobbyists to stop others from being able to sell what they've decided to stop selling. We will have that story and more when we come back. Right now, however, I need to tell you about ProFlowers. You can actually get on Instagram and see what ProFlowers sent me. A beautiful bouquet of flowers for my wife. It really is surreal, as I noted on the comment on Instagram. It's surreal to me to now be advertising for a company that I used to just use as a customer. But nonetheless, Mother's Day is coming up, and they've got a great deal. You're guaranteed to get 7 days of fresh, beautiful flowers from them. Right now, my listeners can send 100 colorful blooms with a free glass vase for $19.99 plus shipping and handling with my promo code, which happens to be my name, Eric. With fresh flowers, guaranteed delivery, unique vases, and accessories, you can get your gift delivered even on Mother's Day. The only way to get 100 colorful blooms with a free glass vase for just $19.99 is to go to proflowers.com, click on the blue microphone in the upper right corner, use my code, which is Eric, E-R-I-C-K. You go to proflowers.com, use my code, which is my first name, E-R-I-C-K, and get 100 colorful blooms. A fantastic deal for Mother's Day, which is May 13th, coming up. So you better act quick, people, or else you'll get in big trouble with Mom. And you don't want to make Mom angry.
All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Good evening. It is 6:09 p.m. I am Eric Erickson. This is WSB. The phone number, if you'd like to be a part of the program, is 404-872-0750, 1-800-WSB-TALK. And real quick, I gotta apologize to a candidate. Because I recognized his name and then I got him confused with someone else. And that is David Belle-Isle. David Belle-Isle, I for some reason, I thought that I confused him with a perennial candidate whose name I have seen around my neighborhood forever, and it's not. David Belle-Isle is the mayor of Alpharetta. So I apologize to him for getting me confused. He's running for Secretary of State. That's why I'm seeing his signs around my neck of the woods. David Belle-Isle is running for Secretary of State. He's the mayor of Alpharetta. Very nice guy, by the way. I've met him. In fact, he helped me out one time when I was up in Alpharetta. We were doing the Taste of Alpharetta a couple of years ago, and we had some just drunk dude who was causing all sorts of problems. And David Belle-Isle came over and took charge. No police around, and he showed good leadership skills as the mayor of Alpharetta. Very nice guy. So I apologize to him for getting him confused with someone else the other day. David Belle-Isle, mayor of Alpharetta, he's running for Secretary of State. So there. Now, I also need to talk about Dick's Sporting Goods. Dick's Sporting Goods has decided to stop selling firearms. They want to be an outdoor store, not just a sporting goods store. And what they've decided to do, it appears, based on a number of reports, is they've hired anti-gun lobbyists. And what Dick's Sporting Goods is now trying to do, it appears, based on several media outlets' reports, is Dick's Sporting Goods is trying to get laws passed to prevent sporting goods stores from selling guns. So you see where this is headed, don't you? Dick's has stopped selling guns, and so a lot of people will go to Academy, or they'll go to Bass Pro or Cabela or wherever. And so what Dick's is trying to do is get laws passed now, say, no, none of those other stores can sell guns since Dick's has decided to not sell guns. Which is just, well, I can't say on radio what that is. I've got a dump button if I utter profanity. I'll try not to, but that's just complete and utter garbage that they would do this. And I refuse to organize boycotts. I think if you don't want to shop there, don't shop there. I'm not going to try to rally people and bring pressure to bear, but I don't know that I can bring myself to keep shopping at Dick's if they're not just going to stop selling guns. I don't care whether they sell them or not, their choice. But to then try to penalize others, I think is just absolutely awful. Deeply upset that Dick's would try to do something like this. The fact that they've hired anti-gun lobbyists at all is ridiculous. And I have absolutely no use for a store that does that. And I don't intend to shop at Dick's if I can help it. Now, in some cases, I've got no other choice given selections in my area. But if I can help it, I won't. I'll go to Academy or somewhere else. Thank you, sir. My buddy Fred points out this is what progressives do when they decide that they don't like something. You're not allowed to like it anymore either. Don't you laugh at that, and don't you buy that because they've decided it's bad. The other issue is Amazon. So I read you the story out of the Washington Post last week that one of the things that Amazon is privately looking at is how supportive of gay rights and the LGBTQI ABCDEFG community various cities are, where they're looking at building their new headquarters. And for the longest time, I've had people telling me in the tech industry it looked like Denver was going to be where Amazon went, but more and more people seem to think it's going to be Boston or D.C. And there's a big story. Well, it's not a big story today. That's the problem. That's why I'm talking about it, because it should be a big story. Amazon has a charitable portal, Amazon Smiles, where you can go to their portal and it is Amazon, but everything you get special links for goods, and when you buy through this site, a percentage of your purchase goes to a nonprofit. And there are all sorts of nonprofits in there. Nonprofits for veterans, nonprofits for school kids, nonprofits for runners, nonprofits for you name it. Running camps, Christian groups, well, except the Alliance Defending Freedom, which is a really good group, one that I support. I have spoken at several of their events in the past. I am a very big proponent of ADF and encourage people to donate to them. The Alliance Defending Freedom represents Christians around the country. They represent people who have been persecuted in this country. They've represented students at Georgia Tech who were denied the right to meet on campus because they were faith-based affiliated. They have represented, for example, Jack Phillips before the Supreme Court right now in his case about whether or not he had to provide a cake to a gay wedding. And the argument, despite being misrepresented by some, is not that he doesn't want to serve gays because he has plenty of gay clients already, just that he doesn't want to provide goods to a religious ceremony that violates his religious beliefs. And the ADF representing that case. Well, the Southern Poverty Law Center, which is a group that has incited at least 2 mass shooters in this country through targeting conservative groups and conservatives in general, the Southern Poverty Law Center has listed the Alliance Defending Freedom as a hate group because they are a conservative group that backs Christians. Taking the SPLC's designation as a hate group, Amazon.com has banned the Alliance Defending Freedom from being part of their charitable program. Now, I feel like I got to make the disclaimers because I can hear the liberals yelling. Yes, Amazon has every right to do that if they want to do that. Yes, it is their business. They can do it. But I don't have to like it, and I can talk about it, and I can point out to you what they're doing. They are beginning the blacklisting of Christian organizations, the faith-based organizations. If they get labeled a hate group because they believe in Jesus and they're not down with gay marriage, then suddenly they get punished by businesses like Amazon. This is tied directly to what Dix is doing. When progressivism takes over a business, it becomes ideological, not profitable. And that's happening with Amazon.com right now. Amazon.com is in the fold of liberalism and progressives. Jeff Bezos is a liberal, and they are applying pressure to cities that want Amazon's new headquarters. Now, what's so funny about this is Amazon is also in Seattle applying pressure to try to keep attacks from going up. The city of Seattle, to deal with their homeless problem, has decided to place a head tax on businesses. That means there's a tax on each person you employ. And Amazon is saying they're going to stop production or stop building and expanding in Seattle if this head tax is approved. So when it comes to raising Amazon's costs, they're opposed to government doing that to take care of the homeless. But they are perfectly okay persecuting Christians in this country when a left-wing hate group labels a Christian hate group, which is just absolutely crazy. We do not need these people in Georgia. They would use and abuse their influence. We've already got a bunch of whorish Republicans in charge of the GOP in Georgia who will sell out their voters for $1. I mean, we got a bunch of Judases in charge of the GOP in Georgia looking for their pieces of silver from big corporations in Hollywood. They won't even sign religious liberty amendment, or won't even pass it out of the legislature, except in election years when they know the governor's going to veto it, because they tell you one thing, but they sell themselves out like Judas for some pieces of silver from these companies. And they would be doing it to Amazon at the expense of your values and at the expense of the culture in this state. And you should remember every time, and I shop at Amazon almost on a daily basis, so it pains me to criticize them. But they are not us. In fact, they are increasingly hostile to our values. Let me have a brief timeout for this week's sponsor, and that would be Quip, which is a fantastic toothbrush. I love my Quip toothbrush. I have been using it for a while. The truth is, most of us are probably brushing our teeth wrong anyway, not long enough. We forget to change our brush. I know for the longest time I went without changing my brush, and I didn't realize it actually sharpens. When you brush your teeth, it actually sharpens the bristles, and in the process of sharpening the bristles, you can do gum damage. You can wear off the enamel on your teeth, so you want to actually change your brush heads, and Quip does that. It's an electric toothbrush that's a fraction of the cost of the bulkier brushes. You can barely fit in the back of your mouth, and it packs just the right amount of vibration to help clean your teeth. It's got a built-in timer that helps you clean for the dentist recommended 2 minutes while guiding pulses that remind you when to switch sides. I really like it, and it has a great subscription plan. They deliver new brush heads on a dentist recommended schedule every 3 months for just $5, including free shipping worldwide. I actually just got new brush heads last week, I think, for my toothbrush. So Quip starts at just $25, and if you go to getquip.com/Eric, E-R-I-C-K, right now, you'll get your first refill pack free with a Quip electric toothbrush. So you get your first refill pack free by going to getquip.com/Eric. That's G-E-T-Q-I, am I doing this right? G-E-T-Q-U-I-P. Let's try that again, shall we? Getquip.com/Eric. getquip.com/ERICK. That's getquip.com. Folks, listen, I have been using this toothbrush now for a while. I did just get my brush heads. It is great. And really the coolest thing, they don't really sell this themselves. And I'm telling you, you don't have to travel with a recharger. Every electric toothbrush I've ever had, you had to travel with the recharger, or it was really bulky because of the batteries. This one, they have streamlined it. It's one AAA battery. It has lasted me 3 months and still has charge in it. But yet when they sent me the new brush head, they sent a new battery with it too. So a great product. Highly recommend it. Getquip.com/Eric. It is 26 after the hour. I am Eric Erickson. Your mother gave birth to you. She bore you. You should treat her well. And one of the great ways to treat her well is to get her flowers from ProFlowers. Why? Because, you show up at the local place and, well, who knows how long the flowers have been in the vase. With ProFlowers, your mom's guaranteed to have at least 7 days of fresh, beautiful flowers. And right now, you can send your mother, your wife, your significant other 100 colorful blooms with a free glass vase for just $19.99 plus shipping and handling with my promo code ERICK. ERICK. Yes, it's my first name. That is your promo code. You can even check me out at Instagram.com/EWErickson. You can see what ProFlowers sent me. It's just surreal to actually be an advertiser for them after using them. I do try to only advertise for people where I've been customers beforehand, and ProFlowers is one of those places. And I've used them for years. It is really convenient, too, because you can have your gift delivered even on Mother's Day, May 13th this year, or schedule a different delivery date. If you know your mom's going to be out of town on Mother's Day, if she's coming to your house and you want it to be at her house, the only way to get 100 colorful blooms with a free glass vase for just $19.99 is to go to proflowers.com. You click on the blue microphone in the upper right corner and you use my code ERICK, ERICK, remember the C and the K. That's proflowers.com, and then my first name is your promo code, ERICK. Go there now and get 100 colorful blooms. So the president went to the NRA today in Dallas. And, of course, the media is just, they're on the fainting couch over his speech about protecting the Second Amendment. And it was actually a good speech. I enjoyed listening to it. It was very funny listening to him talk about how people advised him not to go talk to the NRA, that it would be controversial. And, this is not a president who shies away from controversy. I think the president did a very good job, and I think the Democrats are the gift that keeps on giving for him on this issue. We have yet another Democrat, a congressman from California, who has gone on record saying that he wants to ban assault weapons, not that there is such a thing, and then he wants the government to go after people who refuse to hand them in. Essentially, he wants a forced gun buyback program. And then he wants the government to not just prosecute, but persecute people who don't hand over their guns. Thank God there's no gun registry in that regard. But still, they want to come for your guns. And you got people like Chris Cuomo on CNN saying, oh, no, they don't want to come for your guns. Nobody's saying that. Now you got a former Supreme Court justice who I actually thought was dead, to be honest with you. I didn't know John Paul Stevens was still kicking around. You got multiple Congress critters now coming out saying the same thing, that they want the government to round up your guns. They want the government to punish you if you don't surrender your guns. And this all plays so well into the president's hand. They are setting him up nicely for re-election in 2020, but they're also setting themselves up for failure in 2018 with their supposedly big wave. I don't think their big wave is coming in ways they seem to think that it is. I think the Democrats are going to be a little disappointed. It is 40 after the hour. I am Eric Erickson. Y'all, I don't really know Tommy Benton. He's a state representative. He's the guy, you may recall, who said that the KKK made people straighten up. He's upset with me because I think we can do better than him in the state legislature. Sam Thomas is running against him over in Jefferson, and Tommy Benton is apparently upset that I've dared to talk about him on the radio. So I'm sorry I've dared to talk about the man who said the KKK made people straighten up. My goodness gracious. There is news that Georgia Republicans are outpacing Georgia Democrats in early voting. A good sign of Republican strength in the state of Georgia. Same thing happened in Texas. It is a good sign that all this franticness in the media about Ted Cruz losing to the Democrat Bob O'Rourke, now Beto O'Rourke. It's just a bunch of media hysteria. It's not going to happen. It's just not. I don't want to talk about that, though, right now. I want to talk about the privileged bubble that the left is living in this country. A radio station in Detroit has decided to stop playing Kanye West songs. Why? Because Kanye West said something nice about Donald Trump. Liberals are outraged. Y'all, the left talks a lot about privilege. I would submit to you that it is actual real privilege in this country to be able to go a day without ever encountering someone who disagrees with you, particularly among your heroed celebrity class. Because liberals in this country seem to think that if you don't agree with them on everything, you are unworthy of being followed or liked or anything else. I mean, I can't remember the last time I went and saw a movie where the people on screen actually agreed with me politically. Now, there are a few actors and actresses who do. I know a couple of them. They are deeply in the closet, not on whether they're gay or straight, but on whether they're conservative or not. Most of Hollywood is extremely liberal, and proudly so. And liberals so rarely have to confront someone who might disagree with them on an issue. And what we're seeing is that they don't have the mental mechanism, the maturity to be able to handle liking someone while disagreeing with their politics. Now, to be fair, I know conservatives, a couple of whom are listening at this very moment, who will not go to movies and do not engage with most pop culture because they can't abide helping liberals. And they look at pop culture and TV and books and radio and movie screens, and they're like, it's all a bunch of liberals. I'm not reading liberal authors. I'm not listening to liberal musicians. I'm not watching liberals on TV. I'm not watching liberals in the movies. And I mean, my goodness, that means you can't listen to Pearl Jam, the greatest band that there is, because Eddie Vedder's a huge liberal. I mean, I got to hold my nose with his progressive antics just so I can listen to good music. You can too. It's actually not a sign of a healthy soul to be angry about someone's politics so much that you have to shut everything they do out of your life. That's really not a healthy way to live. And yet the left is doing this more than people on the right, and very vocally so. And it's just not healthy. It's not healthy for our society. It's not healthy for them. It is just a real wake-up call on just how privileged these people's lives are, that they can go through the day and never have to encounter anyone who disagrees with them, which for a conservative is largely impossible. No. Pearl Jam, not Red Hot Chili Peppers. They're okay, but they're no Pearl Jam. Or Foo Fighters, which are awesome as well. I took my kids to school yesterday and made sure to blast Foo Fighters and Pearl Jam, because why? Indoctrination is a good thing, particularly at an early age. They need to learn what good music sounds like. Their mother's always blaring 80s music at them, and nope, I'm opposed to 80s music. Got to be Pearl Jam, Foo Fighters, good music. Now, I digress. We must move on. Oklahoma and Kansas have done something that Republicans in Georgia are too spineless to do. They have passed a law that says faith-based adoption agencies do not have to abandon their definition of marriage in order to place children in homes. Kansas and Oklahoma are willing to stand up for faith-based adoption agencies in ways Georgia's Republicans are not. And I want you to think about that when you go vote for your candidates. I want you to understand that you got every single one of the Republican candidates in Georgia claims, and with the exception of Clay Tippins, claims to support a Religious Freedom Restoration Act. And only a few of them have been fighting for it for years. I want you to understand when you go vote that they all claim they want to protect a Christian adoption agency's right to allow the adoption of kids without having to adopt into gay households by abandoning their definition of marriage. It affects Catholic charities. It affects many Protestant adoption agencies. I want you to understand that there are plenty of places and plenty of adoption agencies in this state that same-sex couples can go. But we should be allowing adoptions to go forward with Christian adoption agencies who won't adopt to same-sex couples, because this should be about the kids, not the advancement of the gay rights agenda. And yet Republicans in this state, time and time again, including those who are running for governor, some of them, they claim to support it, but they won't actually fight for it. They claim to support it, but you know they're not actually going to support it. And you need to be mindful of that. Kansas and Oklahoma, and it was a huge fight full of lies and misinformation in Kansas. My buddy Eric Tietzel runs one of the pro-family organizations out there. And fought, was assailed and lied about and smeared, and he won this fight and deserves commendation for winning this fight. And in Georgia, you need to understand that your Republican leaders, they are unwilling to fight for you, though they tell you that they will. And it's time we stop being lied to. That is why your vote matters in the governor's race. Have you ever thought that, like, Twix should just make a giant Twix bar? I've had something close to that in all its gloriousness, and it is the caramel pretzel rods that you can get from Sherry's Berries this week. They're quite tasty. I thought my kids had eaten them all, and they had not. I was able to get one. They had some that were milk chocolate swirled in white chocolate, but then the caramel on top of the pretzel, glorious. Listen, you got to get something for your mom. Sherry's Berries right now has a great deal for $19.99 plus shipping and handling. You can get Sherry's Berries, and this week only, when you double the berries for $10 more, you're going to get those dipped caramel pretzel rods. They're delicious. Your berries are going to arrive in Sherry's Berries signature gift box with a beautiful ribbon. There is no need for gift wrap. If you're not familiar with them, been telling you guys about them for years. I've been a customer for even longer. They are strawberries dipped in milk chocolate, dark chocolate, white chocolate. They're topped with chocolate chips, chopped nuts, signature swizzles with white chocolate and milk chocolate. The dipped caramel pretzel rods are fantastic. You've got some that are white in milk chocolate drizzle, some that are in chocolate chips. I mean, they're good. Trust me, they're good. Now, there's only one way to get this amazing deal for Mom. Freshly dipped strawberries starting at $19.99 plus shipping and handling. And when you double the berries for $10 more this week, you're going to get the dipped caramel pretzels. Mother's Day is May 13th, so go to berries.com, berries.com. Click on the mic in the upper right corner. Enter my first name, Eric, E-R-I-C-K. That's berries.com. My code, Eric. And I ran out the clock, didn't have time to talk about John Kerry. We'll get into it tomorrow. You can text the word show to 444-999 to get the podcast. See y'all tomorrow.